China attacks America's B-2 bomber, and they made a deadly mistake. August 12, 2025. In the fiercely contested skies over Scarborough Shoal, the unthinkable happened. From a coastal launch site 142 nautical miles away, China fired an HQ-19, their most advanced anti-stealth missile. Its target, America's B-2 Spirit, a $2.1 billion symbol of US power, carrying 40,000 pounds of precision-guided bombs and one of only 19 in existence. The HQ-19 streaked through the sky at Mach 14, nearly 17,000 km/h. In just 42 seconds, it could have turned the ghost in the sky into wreckage. But the United States was not intimidated, and this reckless attack changed everything. Just hours later, Washington gave the green light for a devastating retaliation. 2 B-2 bombers armed with deep strike weapons, escorted by stealth fighters and a swarm of kamikaze drones, launched from a US aircraft carrier. Their mission: wipe out the exact Chinese site that had fired the HQ-19. From above, the Spirit slipped past radar like phantoms. From below, drones surged in to overwhelm defenses. The target, a coastal base Beijing had long claimed was impregnable. But the question remained, did the HQ-19 actually hit the B-2? And what price would China pay for daring to fire on America's skyborne symbol, 9:42 a.m., August 12, 2025? The quiet skies over the South China Sea suddenly shuddered. A B-2 Spirit appeared massive, imposing, stretching 172 feet across like a steel beast. On radar, it was barely larger than a pigeon. But today, its fate nearly changed forever. The B-2 had just completed a classified mission when it flew over Scarborough Reefs, bitterly contested between Manila and Beijing. To Washington, it was international airspace. To Beijing, it was sacred territory. Just 47 seconds after detection, China's coastal defense system roared to life. In a fortified control bunker, an HQ-19 with a 400 lb warhead was armed. The missile launched its trail of fire, ripping through the sky. In the cockpit, the B-2 pilot received the alert: 42 seconds to live or die. The missile closed 50 miles in mere moments. But the Spirit had been built for this. It banked hard-released electronic countermeasures, and the HQ-19 lost lock. At over 35,000 feet, a blinding white flash lit the heavens, the missile detonating harmlessly in the void. The B-2 had survived. The entire encounter lasted 1 minute 54 seconds. But that was enough. China had crossed the red line. At the Indo-Pacific Command, alarms blared, red lights flashing. Washington did not consider this a misunderstanding. It was an act of war. As soon as the B-2 pilot filed his report's satellite data, and AWACS logs confirmed the launch site, a hardened coastal base in southern China. Even more alarming, the launch signature matched Beijing's most advanced anti-stealth system, designed specifically to kill aircraft like the Spirit. By the rules of engagement, firing on a US aircraft in international airspace was no warning. It was an unprovoked act of aggression. Washington understood this wasn't a signal. This was the start of a dangerous game. 9:57 a.m., a secure line linked the White House Situation Room, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs Indo-PACOM's commander, and the president. The numbers were brutal. A single B-2 represented 10% of America's stealth bomber fleet. Losing one meant a $2.1 billion blow, not counting the global strategic shock. President Trump made his decision in less than 3 minutes. He authorized Operation Iron Dagger. The objectives: eliminate the HQ-19 launchers, blind every radar, smash the command center, minimize collateral damage. The countdown began. T-6 hours to launch. At Guam and aboard the USS Ronald Reagan, American crews moved with urgency. Spirits rolled down the runway once more. Drones armed themselves for suicide strikes. A retaliatory strike was coming, and it would send a message echoing across the entire Pacific. The mission's objectives were crystal clear: destroy the HQ-19 launchers, blind the radar, and wipe out the command bunker while minimizing collateral damage. The countdown had begun. 6 hours to launch. at airbases across Guam, and aboard the USS Ronald Reagan American crews worked furiously. They knew this strike wouldn't just hit China's defenses, it would send a shockwave across the entire Pacific. At 10:15 a.m., the framework of Operation Iron Dagger was locked into Indo-PACOM's mission board. This wasn't a warning shot. This was a coordinated strike engineered to erase the HQ-19 site in under 90 seconds from the first bomb drop. At the heart of the plan, the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber, each worth $2.1 billion, carrying more firepower than the entire air force of some nations. The strike package revolved around two of them, Nightfall 1 and Nightfall 2. Between them, they carried 16 GBU-31 Vi-3B JDAMs, 2,000 Tosaros LB GPS-guided bombs each, with a circular error of less than 10 meters. Accurate enough to hit a doorway from 25,000 feet, each capable of smashing through reinforced concrete and leaving a 10-foot crater. Supporting them two F-35C Lightning IIs armed with AN/APG-81 ASA radar, capable of tracking 1,000 targets at once and firing Mach 2 anti-radiation missiles. Behind them, two KC-46A Pegasus tankers, each holding 212,000 pounds of fuel, enough to keep the Spirits airborne for over 24 hours. Without them, the 6,000 nautical mile round trip would be impossible. But the deception layer was just as deadly. From the deck of the Reagan 8 FA-18E Super Hornets launched 32 MOL-J decoys, each one broadcasting the radar signature of a B-52 bomber while jamming across multiple frequencies with 500 watts of power. Chinese radar screens flooded with over 100 false contacts. Electronic warfare support came from EA-18G Growlers, throwing broadband jamming out to 150 miles, severing Chinese communications across a 20 MHz band, effectively blinding their early warning network. The attack split into 3 axis MOL-J decoys from the East F-35Cs, sweeping in from the south, and the B-2s, threading through a stealth corridor from the southwest, where their radar cross-section would appear smaller than a golf ball. T-4 hours. Every aircraft was airborne. Somewhere on the Chinese coast, an HQ-19 battery sat quietly unaware that $6 billion in stealth aircraft, 80,000 pounds of precision munitions, and over £1 million of jet fuel were already committed to erasing it from existence. What other weapon do you think could make this strike even deadlier? Now watch the destruction unfold. 2:03 a.m. local time. The strike force crossed the commit line in the Philippine Sea. Nightfall 1 and Nightfall 2 were now only 320 nautical miles from China's coast. Their radar cross-section, just 0.001 square meters, so small that even China's most advanced phased array radars would need to be within 25 miles to track them. At 35,000 feet, their GE F-118 engines ran on minimum thrust to shrink their heat signature, leaving almost nothing for infrared seekers to lock onto. Ahead of them, 32 MOL-J decoys were already at work projecting the radar image of an entire wing of B-52s charging from the east. On Chinese scopes, a phantom fleet appeared. The ruse worked. HQ-9 and HQ-22 batteries began swiveling their launchers toward the false formation, diverting resources from the real threat. Meanwhile, F-35Cs flanked low and wide their AAQ-37 DAS sensors, capable of spotting missile launches from 800 kilometers away. Their AGM-88G ARGM-ERs were primed, waiting for any enemy radar to light up. 2:14 a.m. The B-2 Spirits crossed the coastline, dropping to 31,000 feet, settling into their weapons release profile. The target, the HQ-19 launcher's radar dome and hardened command bunker inside a 3-acre complex ringed with concrete blast walls. The B-2's APQ-181 radar mapped the site in real time with sub-meter resolution. GPS guidance synced to within 18 inches of accuracy. Weapons hot. The call came from Nightfall 1. In just 15 seconds, both Spirits released their payload, 16 JDAMs in total. The bombs dropped silently at nearly Mach 1. No warning, no escape. The first two smashed the radar dome, collapsing its 60-foot array in a storm of fire and debris. The next wave obliterated the HQ-19 launchers, each blast igniting solid fuel boosters in violent secondary detonations. The final pair drilled deep into the command bunker, delayed fuses triggering underground pulverizing console servers and reinforced walls from the inside out. In just 88 seconds, China's most advanced air defense site was reduced to smoking craters. Flames burned at 2,000 degree ammo stores, detonating in chain reactions audible 20 miles away. This was only the beginning. America's retaliation wasn't just bombs, it was a message to the world. If you fire on us, you'll be erased in under 90 seconds. What do you think? If you were China's president, how would you respond after such a devastating strike? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter of this historic showdown.